I'm John with Traditions Performance Firearms, and today we're going to go over loading and shooting your Flintlock rifle. Today we have a PA pellet model with the accelerator breech plug, but loading and firing is just the same as a traditional Flintlock rifle, and we're going to take you through those steps. Before we begin to load and fire anything, we always want to check and make sure that the gun is both unprimed and unloaded. To check and make sure your Flintlock rifle is not primed, simply rotate your frizzen forward, your hammer to the captive half-cock position, and you can visually inspect your flash pan and your flash hole liner to make sure that there's no catalyst powder in there. Typically, we use 4F powder for the flash pan here, and it's a really finite ground powder, so you want to check and make sure that there's none inside that tiny communication hole. From that point, you can leave your frizzen forward, bring your rifle back, and with your range rod or your field rod, run that down the bore. When your hash mark goes down and is flush with the muzzle of your gun, you know you don't have a charge in that barrel. With your field rod, you can perform the same check. And with the PA pellet model, it stops about 1 inch shy of the rod going all the way down in the barrel. And we have a hash mark indicating that this gun is unloaded. We're going to save this for later. To load your gun, you have two options with the PA pellet model. If you have a traditional Flintlock rifle, you're going to be using 2F or 3F standard black powder, 4F powder for your flash pan to ignite the gun, and most likely a lead ball and pre-lubricated patch. If you have the PA pellet model, your options are a little bit more expanded. You're able to use pelletized powder like the IMR White Hots. And today we're going to be using 2 pellets, 100 grains of the IMR White Hots powder. And we're just going to drop those down the bore. And we're also going to be using a 250 grain smackdown sabot. To load this, simply work your sabot into the muzzle, and once it's good and centered, transition over to your ball starter and push that down the barrel. Your goal is to try and mate the shoulder of your ball starter against the muzzle of your barrel. From this point, once you've mated your shoulder to the muzzle of your gun, you can transition over to your field rod or your range rod. And we're just going to seat that bullet against the powder charge. At this point, you can also take your field rod and go ahead and mark the ramrod itself with either a knife, you can scribe a line, or with a marker. Just scribe a line where your full charge load is in relation to your ramrod. This is an excellent reference point in relation to follow-up shots that you may have at the range and or use in the woods if you're hunting. Once your load is in the barrel, you can remount your gun in the vise. And prior to priming your gun and firing, we always want to check and make sure that any oils or any excess, anything wet, is cleaned from both your frizzen surface and your priming pan surface. Any kind of oil in there could inhibit a spark or catalyst from occurring and igniting the flash pan powder. Once we have that surface clean and dry, simply take some 4F powder, and these are spring loaded. Just place it down into the flash pan and press down and slowly work powder into your flash pan. There's a misconception that you need a lot of powder in these flash pans. You don't really need that much. You need just enough to bring it up level with the top of the pan. From this point, once you have your flash pan full, simply close your frizzen on top of your priming powder. Your gun's now primed and ready to fire. To fire your Flintlock muzzleloader, simply rotate the hammer with the frizzen down from the captive half-cock position to the full cock position. Rotate your trigger to the rear and fire your rifle.